What screams I peaked in high school? Story 1. Pretty much talking about high school all the time when you see them. I'm from a small city whose economy is really driven by factories, and I find that for a lot of people that stay working there, high school was their peak. The saddest case in my opinion is the guy who was the captain of the baseball team. We follow each other on Twitter, and he tweets often about how good he was at baseball and how he should have been drafted rather than be stuck working some factory job. And yes, whenever I see him, he does the good old, hey, remember when crap that I usually expect when I go visit. So glad I left that place. Story 2. Making a career out of being head honcho of the reunion committee every 10 years. Mr. Popularity of my class comes out of mothballs every 10 years to put on a class reunion weekend. First, he begins with the PR 2 years before the event, has a website, Facebook page, regular email updates, and Twitter feed. He sets the schedule for the pre-reunion informal event followed by the tour of our high school today, then the golf opportunity, the main big deal event, and the bye-bye brunch. After the event, he's posting videos he took on the website for the next 6 months. Eventually, he goes back into low-key mode, where he just keeps the Facebook page and website updated with news about classmates' life cycle events until the next round comes back into view. Whenever I hear the boss sing Glory Days, he's the one I think of. Story 3. Back when Facebook expanded beyond college students and obliterated MySpace, there was an influx of people that had never used social media before. So for my age group at the time, 40 and over, there was a reconnection of old friends that you'd either lost contact with altogether or haven't seen since the last reunion. It was a great time for a couple years because people would say, let's all meet at such and such bar, and we'd all reconnect. Someone threw an all 80s get-together, which I attended. I graduated high school in 1986. Some dude approached me and introduced himself, class of 1981. I was in junior high. He says, you probably remember me, or at least heard of me, because I won the talent show in 1981 with my guitar. Story 4. Well, one of my best friends in high school was dating the most popular chick at school. She was gorgeous, pretty, and smart. Everyone thought she'd be super successful in life. Turns out she fell in love with a girl who messed her up. She dropped out of college, got fat, and then married this super Christian fat douchebag. She peaked way too early in life, and she knows it. She is, however, extremely sweet. When I saw her a couple months ago, we're both 33, at her home, engagement party. I noticed all of the pics were from when she was in high school. It's basically as if she's still 18. Story 5. I've noticed a lot lately that when I go to parties with people who all went to high school together, all they talk about is the good old days where they'd get drunk together and do stupid shit in their parents' cabins on the weekend. A few stories are legitimately funny, but listening to it for an entire evening is just tiring. Obsessing over your old high school sports team is another heavy indicator. So many of my classmates want to go to college, get jobs back home in our town of maybe 900 people, and raise their kids in our school because of the goddamn sports team. Parents like that are why the art and music programs were so shitty and underfunded when I went there. Guys, it's not a good school. Period. Just because you can relive your glory days by forcing your kid to get up at 5 a.m. for practice for their entire high school career doesn't mean your kid will learn shit throughout that time. Isn't that the important part? Story 6. So I graduated and promptly moved to another state for university. I didn't bother to keep in touch with anyone. I eventually moved back home with my partner due to some financial troubles. I had an extended recovery period from a major back surgery and could not work. Now I work for a community college in the area as an institutional researcher and BI analyst. I work a lot on projects designed to push people to get jobs. The economy here is terrible. A few factories and Walmart are almost all the jobs. Everyone is horribly poor and uneducated. It's very sad. Anyways, since I started working at the school, I have seen a lot of people that went to high school with me come through this community college. Most of them don't seem to have done anything since high school. They immediately had kids or just sat around getting high or something else. They have the same friends who are in the same situation. It's sad sometimes, but it's also encouraging to see them going to school. They are coming to get certificates in HVAC or welding or something else. Really spectacular programs that will really improve their lives if they finish. Lots of guaranteed, well-paying jobs. But as to the question, going back to your local community college in your mid-20s seems to be a telltale sign that you peaked in high school in this community. That being said, hopefully after their time at this school that won't be their peak anymore. Story 7. Everything about my older brother. He moved back in with my dad a couple of years ago, with his wife and 3 kids. His car is my dad's hand-me-down. His kids all share the same room I had in high school. He and his wife share the one my younger brother had. My brother eventually dated his high school crush and proposed to her at a baseball game when he was 22. She gave up on ever expecting to go to college or have a career because he used to brag about all of the big things he'd do and where he'd end up. I recently overheard him tell the youngest that he had a fortune in baseball cards and a footlocker in the garage that he would sell if they ever needed the money. He found religion 5 years or so and managed to convince most of the family that he is trying to be a good father, but never does the difficult things and always seems to focus on old achievements. When I started grad school, he moved the conversation to how he was an Eagle Scout in high school, and I got bored with it before then. When I got married, he refused to buy a gift, saying that I should be glad he took the time off from his job in banking as a personal banker, making around $35,000, getting money from our parents. Every step of the way is all bluster and attitude with nothing behind it. He now works in a call center, not the first time, and brags about his hobby of being an extra in movies and how he'll make it big someday because he can be seen in the background on an episode of The Queen of the South. Sometimes I wonder how my family has so much respect for the man, and then I remember that he tells stories with practiced pauses and dramatic gestures that those who don't pay attention might think are off the cuff. He actually stole power postures, as he called them, from some book that used Michael Douglas as an example. That's why he almost always sits with his hands together, fingers interlocked, and the index fingers pointed together. He read it in a book somewhere. He peaked in high school and still sometimes brags about how he thinks that he made the most of it. I know I probably didn't, but I have done a lot since and am continuing to do the difficult things to move forward in life. I take care of myself. I read things that challenge me. In 2 weeks, I will finish my MBA and move on to the next thing. My older brother has never lived outside of the side of town where he was born and has only ever left the state when someone else was paying. Story 8. When I went to my reunion, I noticed that everyone kind of fell into their roles from high school. It was weird. In high school, I was really shy. Since then, I've blossomed, started a business, and became very social as a result of networking. I'm literally a completely different person than I was back then. But when I showed up to the reunion, I clammed up. My brain just didn't work. I couldn't be witty to save my life. I actually found it hard to talk to most people. My best friend, who went to the same high school, was freaking out with me. He was looking at me like, "Why are you so quiet?" It was so weird. One thing I noticed was a girl that I barely knew. She was really obese in high school, but now she is thin and attractive. I could tell she thought she was going to show up at the reunion and surprise everyone. But it's hard to surprise everyone when nobody remembers you. She just sat at a table with her husband by themselves, not talking to anyone. Pretty sad. Kind of showed me that life has a way of making you lose even when you thought you won. That was my 10-year reunion. I'm never going to any other reunions. High school was something I had to do. I'd rather celebrate the reunion of something I really care about. Story 9. In my core bio class in community college, I had 2 classmates I went to high school with. It was only 2 years after graduation, but most of us had honestly left it behind us because we were in a damn hurry to do so as soon as possible. One of the 2 classmates had been one of the biggest fucking troublemakers in the class back in our senior year, but it was apparent that college had whipped his ass into shape real good. Not the other one, though. I'm going to call her Amelie because she looked like a pre-Talon Widowmaker. Amelie was the closest thing to an alpha bitch straight out of TV that our high school had. She had a new boyfriend around her arm every month. She kissed the teacher ass in every class at school, but especially if the teacher was still in her 20s. She wore trendy punk girl clothing, was in a few bands, sang solo and chorus, and played the guitar. She marked me out as her sworn nemesis in 5th grade, and this animosity towards me continued straight through till the end of high school. I cannot for the life of me remember having done anything to this girl, for her to spend 5th through 11th grade fucking with my head, and whenever I asked her what the fuck I did to her, her only response was ever, "You're ugly and I hate you." Anyway, so now Amelie is 19 and in college, taking a core science class, because she plans to major in pre-med and go on to medical school. She's still wearing the same exact punk rock clothing she wore throughout all of high school, complete with cut-off flannel vests, frosted tips, anarchy symbols, and skinny jeans. I figured since we were adults now and in college, we could leave our stupid teenager bullshit behind us and be civil to each other in this class. Little did I know that she was all set and ready to be as much of a bitch to me as she had been in high school. She rolled her eyes at every single thing I said and regarded what I thought to be friendly chatter with a nasty, "Why the fuck are you talking to me? Go away, loser," glare. All I had asked was how she was doing, what she was up to in life now, what her major was, and told her my own major and my career aspirations. And she was treating me like talking to me civilly as two adults was the single worst thing she had ever had to do in her entire life. And then our other classmate from high school shows up and she immediately gravitates towards him. And all she talks about is high school. Her high school friends, things she did in high school, the boyfriend she had in high school prom and homecoming, what the people from high school are doing now, her high school bands that don't exist anymore, all high school. I had nothing to talk about with either one of them because I didn't want to talk about fucking high school. I wanted to forget high school ever fucking happened. I said hi to our other classmate and he regarded me with, "Oh hey, how's it going?" I said hi to Amelie. She gives me a tight-lipped, teeth-clenched death glare from hell and then scoots away from me and rolls her eyes, glares, or face palms anytime I say anything at all, to her or otherwise, just like in high school. Anyway, I only saw Amelie in class that one day, though I had already made up my mind that I'm sure as fuck not sitting at the same lab table with her miserable ass if she was still going to be that way. Amelie never came back to class. The other guy stuck around and finished out the class and again was a really decent guy and worked damn hard to make up for all the bullshitting he did in high school. He used to fuck with me in high school too, but in this class he was nothing but civil to me. I never saw Amelie again since that first day of class. It turns out she dropped a core biology class because I was in it, and she planned on going into fucking pre-med with no core biology. We would joke about she thinks she's going to be a doctor. What the hell would she do if she didn't like the way one of her patients looked? I'm not going to help you because you're too ugly? Somehow, I doubt that she's in med school today. Story 10, high school is interesting. So many of what anyone would consider the popular crowd seem to have hated high school. I loved high school, mostly because I didn't give a fuck. All I did was smoke weed and drink and work at the local pizza joint, and I got really good grades. My dad moved back to California before my junior year and left me to finish up high school. 16 years old, living on my own in his house. It was a blast. College was similarly fun. I didn't work that hard and did okay. Adulthood is also fun. I work a lot but make good money now and really enjoy being a responsible adult. I think what screams I peaked in high school are those idiots who still dress like they are in high school with their dope wrap around Oakleys and their cargo shorts and their beer guts and thinning hair. There were only a handful of people I hated in high school and they all pretty much still suck. Oftentimes people I don't even remember come up to me and say, "Remember when you?" And more often than not, the answer is no. No, I don't remember, because I don't care.